All right, number 2. So here we have several problems with vectors in it. And I'm going to make a separate concept video about what vectors are. These questions are about processes with vectors in them. And what you have to remember is that these brackets here are indicating to you that vectors are not points. They are something with direction and magnitude. Now, in what you're doing here, you're just trying to manipulate them. You can add and subtract vectors and you get the same dimensional vector as a result. You can multiply a vector by a scalar value, which is a constant, and you will still get a vector. So here's how we manipulate them. I'm going to do 3 of these. They're all very similar. And if you have issues with anything, just email me, diana.thomas@westpoint.edu. Okay, so let's start with the first one I've got starred. U minus V. I take U and I subtract V. U is a vector with 2 components, and V is a vector with 2 components. So you know when a student's in trouble when they start subtracting vectors that don't have equal dimensions. This has to be two-dimensional and this has to be two-dimensional. Otherwise you can't do it. Why? The process is to take component by component. So 24 minus 9 gives you the first component here, and minus 36 minus 78 gives you the second. You have to be careful with minus signs. I already made a minus sign mistake. I'll highlight where I made that as I get to it. So I get 15 as my new first component and minus 114 as my second. And so you see WebAssign got it right. All right, let's go to the next one. In the next one, I'm taking 5 times the U, and then adding V to it. So I write that out. I see the scalar 5 on the outside, and then 9 and 78 over here. Vectors over fields are a really cool thing, but I'll keep quiet and I'll just show you the process. How do I do this? I take the 5 and I multiply it in. And when I multiply the 5 in, I get another vector. So 24 times 5 is 120, and minus 36 times 5 is minus 180. And I left V as is. And then I add like I did the previous one. I just combine component by component. Again, be very careful with the arithmetic. And so I get here 129 and minus 102. And so that's, again, we see that WebAssign is once again correct. I did the last one because I had minus signs and fractions, 2 of my favorite things. So U plus 1 minus 1/3 V, same business as before. Here's U, and here's minus 1/3 times V. I first bring in the scalar, so I multiply in the minus 1/3. Here's where I made my minus sign error the first time I did this. I forgot to multiply by a negative 1/3, and I got positive 26. So you have to be careful. It's corrected. And then I move on with the arithmetic, combining component by component, and then we get 21 and minus 62. And that's what goes here. So if you have any trouble with the other ones, text me or email me, diana.thomas@westpoint.edu.